What happens when a three-star admiral refuses to sit and 200 people wait in silence to find out who's missing? If you love stories of quiet heroes, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. The ceremony was scheduled for 1400.
Naval Base, San Diego, California, November. A retirement ceremony for Captain Stephen Walsh. 28 years of service. The base auditorium was packed. 200 attendees, officers, enlisted, families, everyone in dress uniforms, blues and whites, ribbons and medals gleaming under lights. Vincent Palmer was in the cafeteria kitchen when the ceremony started. 79 years old, thin, weathered, short gray hair, dark skin lined by decades of sun and hard work. He wore the navy blue cafeteria worker uniform, white apron, plastic name tag reading Vince. He'd worked base food service for 15 years, serving meals, wiping tables, cleaning trays, invisible to most people who walked through the line. What nobody knew was that Vincent "Gunny" Palmer was a retired Marine Master Gunnery Sergeant with a Silver Star. The auditorium was full, front row, reserved for senior officers. Admiral Richard Bennett entered at 13:55, Vice Admiral, 3 stars, 58 years old, fit, sharp, silver hair cut to regulation. He wore dress whites, immaculate, chest covered with ribbons, combat action ribbon, Navy Cross Bronze Star, a career of distinguished service. He walked to the front row, saw his reserved seat, second from the left. He stood beside it. Didn't sit. Commander Lisa Crawford, the ceremony officer, approached. 42 years old, efficient. She'd coordinated 50 ceremonies. "Admiral Bennett, sir, we're ready to begin. Please be seated." Bennett didn't move. His eyes scanned the room. The front row, the second row, the entire auditorium, looking for someone. "Admiral?" Crawford repeated. "We don't start yet," Bennett said. His voice was quiet but firm. Crawford checked her watch. "Sir, Captain Walsh is ready. All attendees are seated. We're on schedule." "Not everyone is seated," Bennett said. Crawford looked around. Every seat was full, people standing against the back wall because they'd run out of chairs. "Sir, I don't understand. Everyone invited is here." "No, someone is missing. We don't begin until he arrives." The room was starting to notice. Whispers. 200 people watching the Admiral stand while everyone else sat. Captain Walsh on stage looking confused. The ceremony was supposed to start, but Bennett wouldn't sit. Crawford leaned closer, kept her voice low. "Admiral, who are we waiting for?" "Vincent Palmer." Crawford pulled out her attendance list, scanned it. "Sir, I don't have a Vincent Palmer on the guest list." "Then your list is wrong. We don't start without Gunny Palmer." "Gunny?" Crawford's confusion deepened. This was a Navy retirement ceremony. Gunny was a Marine term. "Sir, is he a Marine Corps representative?" "He's the reason I'm here." "Find him," Crawford signaled to a junior officer. Lieutenant Amy Chen, 26 years old, eager. "Find Vincent Palmer, check the parking lot, check the lobby." Chen returned 5 minutes later. "Ma'am, no Vincent Palmer signed in." Bennett spoke without looking away from the door. "He works in the cafeteria. He's probably still there. Someone needs to go get him." The auditorium was silent now. 200 people watching, waiting. The ceremony officer dispatched to the cafeteria. This had never happened before. A 3-star admiral holding up a retirement ceremony for a cafeteria worker. Captain Walsh, the man being honored, stood on stage. He whispered to the chaplain beside him. "Do you know who Vincent Palmer is?" The chaplain shook his head. "Never heard the name." 10 minutes passed. Bennett stood at attention, hands behind his back, perfectly still, not fidgeting, not explaining, just waiting. The silence was heavy, uncomfortable, people shifting in seats, checking watches. Finally, the auditorium door opened. Commander Crawford returned. Behind her, a thin elderly man in a cafeteria uniform. White apron still on, plastic gloves in his back pocket. He looked terrified, confused, like he'd been summoned to the principal's office. Vincent Palmer stopped just inside the door. Saw 200 people staring at him. Saw the 3-star Admiral. His first instinct was to leave. He didn't belong here. Bennett saw him, for the first time since entering. The Admiral smiled. He crossed the auditorium, walked straight to Vincent. Every eye followed him. Vincent stood frozen. "Sir, I think there's been a mistake. I was just finishing." Bennett came to attention, raised his right hand, saluted, sharp, crisp, perfect. Vincent's mouth opened, closed, his hands trembled. "Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer," Bennett said. His voice carried through the silent room. "United States Marine Corps, retired." The room erupted in shock. Vincent's hands came up automatically. Muscle memory from 40 years ago. He returned the salute. His form wasn't perfect anymore. His back wasn't as straight. But the motion was there. The respect. The training that never left. Bennett dropped his salute, extended his hand. Vincent took it. The Admiral's grip was firm. "Gunny Palmer, it's been a long time." "Admiral Bennett?" Vincent's voice was rough, unused to being the center of attention. "Rick, little Rick Bennett?" "Not so little anymore, Gunny." The room was completely silent. 200 people trying to understand what they were witnessing. A 3-star Admiral calling a cafeteria worker Gunny, standing at attention for him, refusing to start a ceremony without him. Bennett turned to address the room. "Most of you don't know Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer. That's a failure on my part. This man served 28 years in the Marine Corps. 3 tours in Vietnam, 2 in the Gulf War. He earned the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, and 3 Purple Hearts. He trained more Marines than anyone I've ever met. And in 1969, he saved my life." Vincent shook his head. "Sir, that was a long time ago. You're the reason I'm standing here," Bennett interrupted. His voice was firm. "You're the reason I became an admiral. You taught me everything that matters." Commander Crawford stood nearby, tablet in hand, completely lost. Captain Walsh on stage was equally confused. This was his retirement ceremony, but it had become something else entirely. Bennett gestured to the front row. "Gunny, you're sitting with me." "Sir, I'm not dressed for this. I'm in my work clothes. I have food stains on my apron." "I don't care about your uniform. I care about you being here." Bennett looked at Crawford. "Commander, please remove my name from the reserved seat. Put Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer's name there instead." "Sir, that's your seat. You're the senior officer present. He's senior to me in the ways that matter. Do it." Crawford nodded, quickly updated her seating chart. Vincent tried to protest again. Bennett wouldn't hear it. He guided Vincent to the front row, sat him in the reserved seat. Then Bennett took the seat beside him. The audience watched in stunned silence. A 3-star admiral deferring to a cafeteria worker, giving him the seat of honor. It violated every protocol they knew, and yet, no one questioned it. The ceremony finally began. Captain Walsh gave his retirement speech. It was good, heartfelt, but everyone in the room was distracted, stealing glances at Vincent, wondering about his story, about what he'd done to earn an admiral's respect. After Walsh finished, Bennett stood, walked to the podium. This wasn't planned. Crawford checked her program. The admiral wasn't listed as a speaker, but he was a 3-star. No one was going to stop him. "Captain Walsh, congratulations on your retirement," Bennett began. Your service has been exemplary. You've earned this moment." He paused, looked at Vincent in the front row. "But I need to take a moment to tell you all about another Marine, a man who should have been honored like this, but wasn't, because he quietly slipped into retirement and took a job serving food, a job where most of you walked past him every day without seeing him." The room was riveted. Bennett's voice carried authority, command presence. Everyone listened. "In 1969, I was a second lieutenant, fresh out of Annapolis. Thought I knew everything. I knew nothing. I was assigned to a Marine rifle platoon near Da Nang. My platoon sergeant was Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer. Gunny Palmer." Vincent sat very still, eyes forward, but his jaw was tight, memories flooding back. Gunny Palmer had already done 2 tours. He'd earned a Bronze Star in his first tour. He was the most experienced Marine in our unit, and I was a 22-year-old who'd never heard a shot fired in anger. Bennett's voice dropped. The room leaned in. 3 weeks into my deployment, we walked into an ambush. NVA, North Vietnamese Army. They hit us hard. Gunny Palmer moved the platoon to cover, organized our defense, called in air support. He did everything right. I did everything wrong. I panicked, froze. An NVA soldier got through our line, had me dead to rights, rifle aimed at my chest. 3 feet away, I was going to die. The room was silent. You could hear breathing. Gunny Palmer tackled that soldier, took him down, saved my life, but in doing it, he took a round right here. Bennett touched his left shoulder. Through and through, shattered his collarbone. He should have been evacuated, should have gone home. Bennett looked at Vincent, but Gunny Palmer refused medevac until every Marine in that platoon was accounted for. He stayed in the field, kept fighting, kept leading for 6 more hours with a shattered collarbone. He earned the Silver Star that day, for valor, for leadership, for refusing to leave his Marines. The auditorium was completely silent. Officers who'd served in Iraq and Afghanistan understood the weight of combat, the bond between Marines, the sacrifice. Bennett continued. Gunny Palmer stayed with our platoon for the rest of my tour. Taught me how to lead, how to care for my Marines, how to make decisions under fire. Everything I know about leadership, I learned from him. He gestured to the ribbons on his chest. Every award I've earned, every promotion, every command, it started with Gunny Palmer teaching a scared lieutenant how to be a Marine officer. Bennett's voice grew stronger. When I made captain, I looked for Gunny Palmer to thank him. He'd transferred to a training command. When I made commander, I tried to find him again. He'd retired, just disappeared. No forwarding address, no contact. I searched for years. Called every Marine I knew, checked every database. Nothing. Until 3 months ago, I got orders to San Diego. I was walking through the base, got lunch at the cafeteria, and there he was, serving mashed potatoes, wearing a name tag that said, Vince. Vincent sat in the front row, head down, shoulders shaking slightly, trying not to cry. I almost didn't recognize him, Bennett said. It's been 54 years. We've both gotten old. But when I saw his eyes, I knew. That's my Gunny, the man who saved my life. And he was serving food, and I'd walked past him 3 times before without seeing him. The Admiral's voice cracked, just slightly. That shame is mine to carry. I should have seen him, should have recognized him. But I was too busy, too important, too focused on my own world to see the man who made my world possible. Bennett turned to face Vincent directly. Gunny, I'm sorry. I'm sorry it took me 3 months to find you. I'm sorry you've been here 15 years and I never knew. I'm sorry everyone in this room walked past you without understanding who you are. He addressed the audience again. Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer served this country for 28 years. He fought in Vietnam, trained thousands of Marines, earned the Silver Star, 2 Bronze Stars, 3 Purple Hearts. He's a living legend, and we made him invisible. Bennett looked at Commander Crawford. From this moment forward, Vincent Palmer has full base privileges. He's authorized to attend any ceremony, any event, any function, and he'll be seated with senior leadership, because that's where he belongs. He looked at Captain Walsh. Steve, I apologize for interrupting your ceremony. This is your day. But I needed these people to know about Gunny Palmer, needed them to see him. Walsh stood, walked to the podium, extended his hand to Bennett. Admiral, don't apologize. This is exactly what today should be about. Honoring service, all service. Walsh turned to Vincent. Master Gunnery Sergeant Palmer, would you please join us on stage? Vincent shook his head. Sir, this is your day. I don't want to. Gunny, Walsh said firmly. On stage. Now. That's an order. Vincent stood slowly. His knees protested. 15 years of standing on cafeteria floors. He walked to the stage. Each step felt heavy. 200 people watching him. He climbed the stairs, stood between Admiral Bennett and Captain Walsh. Walsh spoke to the audience. I spent 28 years in the Navy. I'm proud of that service, but I never earned a Silver Star. Never took a bullet for my men. Never trained thousands of warriors. This man did, and we owe him more than a seat in the cafeteria. He turned to Vincent. Gunny Palmer, on behalf of Naval Base San Diego, thank you for your service. Thank you for your sacrifice. Thank you for being here. The audience rose, all 200 people, standing ovation. It started slow, then built, clapping. Some people with tears in their eyes. Young sailors who'd eaten food Vincent served. Officers who'd never looked at his face. All standing, all honoring him. Vincent stood at attention, trying to hold it together. His eyes were wet. His hands trembled, but he didn't break. Marines don't break. The applause continued for 3 minutes. Finally, Bennett raised his hand. The room quieted. There's one more thing, Bennett said. He pulled a small box from his pocket, opened it. Inside was a medal, the Silver Star, purple ribbon with a silver star in the center. Gunny, I know you have your Silver Star, probably in a box somewhere, but I wanted you to have this. He pinned it on Vincent's cafeteria uniform, right on the white apron, the Silver Star, bright against the stained fabric. Now everyone will see you, Bennett said quietly. Vincent looked down at the medal, touched it with shaking fingers. Thank you, sir. No, Gunny, thank you. After the ceremony, people lined up, officers, enlisted, families. Everyone wanted to shake Vincent's hand, to thank him, to apologize for not seeing him before. A young Marine corporal, 23 years old, approached. Gunny, I've eaten in that cafeteria 100 times. I never knew. I'm sorry. Vincent smiled. Son, you weren't supposed to know. I was just doing my job. But you earned a Silver Star. You saved an admiral's life. Why didn't you tell anyone? Vincent shrugged. That was 50 years ago. Different life, different war. I did what any Marine would do. Then I came home, got a job, moved forward. That's what we do. The corporal looked at the Silver Star, pinned to Vincent's apron. Can I ask you something, Gunny? Of course. Why the cafeteria? With your record, you could have done anything. Consulting, training, private security. Why serve food? Vincent was quiet for a moment. After I retired, I needed something simple, something quiet. I'd spent 28 years in chaos, combat, training, deployments. I wanted peace. The cafeteria gave me that. I could serve people, feed them, make sure they had a good meal. That mattered to me. But nobody thanked you. Nobody knew who you were. I didn't need thanks. I needed purpose, feeding young sailors and Marines. That was purpose. They remind me of the kids I served with. The ones I trained. Every time I hand someone a tray, I'm still serving, still taking care of troops, just in a different way. The corporal's eyes were wet. You're still leading, Gunny. Just quietly. Vincent smiled. That's the best kind of leadership, son. The kind nobody sees. Admiral Bennett stood nearby, listening. When the corporal left, Bennett approached. Gunny, can we talk? Privately. They walked outside. The California sun was warm. November in San Diego felt like summer anywhere else. They sat on a bench overlooking the harbor. Ships at dock, sailors working. I meant what I said in there, Bennett began. I'm sorry I didn't see you sooner. Rick, you're an admiral. You have 1,000 things to worry about. I'm just a guy serving food. You're not just anything. You're the man who made me who I am. Vincent looked at the harbor. You made yourself, Rick. I just pointed you in the right direction. You did more than that. You taught me that rank doesn't matter. That taking care of your people is the only thing that matters. That leadership is service, not authority. Bennett pulled out his phone, showed Vincent a photo, a young Marine in dress blues. This is my son, Lieutenant Marine Corps. He graduated from Annapolis last year. I told him about you, about Vietnam, about what you taught me. Vincent studied the photo. He looks like you did. Young, confident. Probably thinks he knows everything. Bennett laughed. Exactly like me, which is why I'm asking you a favor. What kind of favor? I want you to meet him, talk to him, teach him what you taught me. He's stationed at Camp Pendleton, 30 minutes from here. Would you do that? Vincent hesitated. Rick, I'm 79. I'm not a teacher anymore. Gunny, you never stopped teaching. You just stopped getting credit for it. Will you meet with him? Vincent looked at the photo again, saw himself at 22, full of pride and ignorance, needing someone to show him the way. Yeah, I'll meet him. Thank you. Bennett paused. There's something else. The Marine Corps is planning a reunion. Vietnam veterans, Da Nang, 1969. They're trying to find everyone from our battalion. Would you come as my guest? I don't know, Rick. That was a long time ago. A lot of those guys probably don't remember me. They remember you, Gunny. I've been in contact with some of them. When I told them I found you, they all wanted to see you. You trained most of them, saved some of them. They remember. Vincent was quiet, finally nodded. Okay, I'll come. Bennett stood, extended his hand. Vincent shook it. One more thing, Gunny. You're not working in the cafeteria anymore. Vincent's eyes narrowed. Don't fire me, Rick. I like that job. I'm not firing you. I'm promoting you. Veterans Liaison. You'll work with young veterans transitioning to civilian life. Help them find purpose, find peace, like you did. It's a paid position, better than cafeteria wages. I know you don't need it, but they need you. Young Marines and sailors struggling to adjust. They need someone who understands. Someone who's been there, someone who found a way forward. Vincent thought about the young corporal, the questions in his eyes, the searching. Okay, I'll do it. Good. You start Monday. Report to the base counseling center. They're expecting you. They shook hands again. Bennett saluted. Vincent returned it, this time stronger, steadier, like the years had fallen away. Vincent Palmer worked as Veterans Liaison for 3 years. He met with young veterans every week, listened to their struggles, helped them find jobs, find purpose, find peace. He told them about Vietnam, about the chaos, about coming home to a country that didn't want to hear about it, about the decades it took him to find quiet, to find his own way. He told them about the cafeteria, how serving food gave him routine, structure, a way to care for people without the weight of combat, how invisibility was sometimes a gift, how starting over didn't mean forgetting who you were. Young veterans listened. Some cried, some shared their own stories. Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, different wars, same struggles. Vincent understood all of them. He met Admiral Bennett's son, Lieutenant Rick Bennett Jr., cocky, confident, just like his father. Vincent spent a day with him, talked about leadership, about caring for Marines, about the difference between authority and respect. The young lieutenant listened, really listened. At the end of the day, he shook Vincent's hand. "I understand why my dad never forgot you." Vincent attended the battalion reunion. 50 Vietnam veterans, all old now, gray hair, lined faces. But when they saw Vincent, they snapped to attention, called him Gunny, thanked him, told stories he'd forgotten, remembered the Marines he'd trained, the lives he'd saved, the leader he'd been. He realized he hadn't been invisible at all. He'd been remembered, honored, loved. He just hadn't known it. When Vincent died at 82, it was peaceful, heart failure in his sleep. The funeral was at Miramar National Cemetery, full military honors. The ceremony drew 300 people. Admiral Bennett gave the eulogy, now retired himself, 4 stars. But standing at Vincent's grave, the stars didn't matter. Gunny Palmer taught me that leadership is service, that rank is responsibility, not privilege, that the best leaders are the ones who make others better, then step back into the shadows. He saved my life in Vietnam, but he saved my soul in San Diego. When I found him serving food in a cafeteria, I was ashamed that we'd let a hero become invisible. But Gunny taught me that there's no shame in service, any service, that feeding people is as noble as leading them. He spent 15 years in that cafeteria. Not because he had to, but because he wanted to serve, to take care of people, to find peace in the simplest act of giving. And when I asked him to help veterans, he said yes, not because he needed recognition, but because they needed help. In his last 3 years, Gunny Palmer helped 200 young veterans find their way, find their purpose, find their peace. That's his legacy. Not the Silver Star, not the Bronze Stars, not the Purple Hearts. His legacy is the lives he touched, the Marines he trained, the veterans he helped, the Admiral he saved, who went on to save others. Bennett's voice broke. Gunny Palmer was the finest Marine I ever knew, and the best man I ever met. The world is less without him, but it's better because he was in it. They buried Vincent with full honors, 21 gun salute, taps, the flag folded and presented to his daughter. She'd flown in from Georgia, hadn't seen her father much in recent years, but she knew he was loved. After the ceremony, young veterans lined up, ones Vincent had helped. They stood at his grave, saluted, left challenge coins, notes, flowers. One young Marine, 25 years old, left a handwritten letter. It read, "Gunny Palmer helped me find purpose when I lost mine. He told me that service never ends, it just changes shape. Thank you for teaching me to serve. I'll carry that lesson forever." Admiral Bennett stood at the grave after everyone left. Just him and Vincent's headstone. The carved words, Master Gunnery Sergeant Vincent Palmer, United States Marine Corps, Silver Star, a leader who served. "Thank you, Gunny," Bennett said quietly, "for everything." And maybe that's what made Vincent Palmer a legend. Not the combat, not the medals, not the admiral he saved, but the quiet certainty that service never ends, that leadership is making others better, that invisibility is sometimes a gift because it lets you serve without ego, because legends don't need recognition, they just need purpose. And Vincent found his purpose every single day, in combat, in a cafeteria, in a counseling office, serving, always serving, until a 3-star admiral refused to sit, until everyone saw him, until 200 people finally understood who'd been walking among them, until the invisible became unforgettable. That's when the cafeteria worker became the commander again. That's when Gunny Palmer prove that true leaders never stop leading. They just lead differently. If this story moved you, hit that like button and subscribe for more quiet heroes. Thanks for watching.